Welcome to Stampscaping 101. After I do a large scene, a really large scene, I usually go the opposite direction in terms of, I don't know, card commitment time on my next one. So that being said, let's try to do a quick card here, and let's try to use some, I don't know, what I consider simplified techniques in terms of the amount of time needed to complete a certain technique or, you know, the card in general. All right, we're going with the Seaside Cove Small here, and we're doing it on a piece of gold Stardream paper. It has that shimmery kind of luster to it, all right? It's not like a foil or something like that that's more mirrored. Now, I don't know, I've had differing success with my impressions on this cardstock before. I don't know, I forgot what it was. There was some ink that didn't transfer real well, which can happen sometimes on sealed cards, but usually with the Brilliance, I usually have a pretty good success rate with that, so let's give it a try. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright, so we have a really good impression there. You can try dye-based inks, but dye-based inks are thinner and sometimes kind of a thinner viscosity doesn't transfer as well because it's not, the inks aren't really absorbing into the paper and staining like a dye ink would. So sometimes the ink doesn't transfer, it just kind of, you're going wet onto sealed, and sometimes when you lift, a lot of the ink comes off with it, kind of like a vacuum or something like that. Okay, but that being said, I'm going to heat set this. Well, I tell you what, let's add in a little bit of extra on this first. This is going to be a really simplistic composition here. Okay, so I'm going with some rockstone here at the base. Let's use a couple different sizes here, and let's go for multiple impressions, okay, using the same inking. Okay, so go like that. So you can kind of ghost it off, you know, with multiple impressions like that. just so you get some variation. You could, go for all strong impressions if you want to, but I just think it's, I don't know, you can have a richer end result with variation. Okay, it's the way light tends to hit things, anyways, in nature, by getting that variation like so. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to heat set this because that ink is pigment inks sit on the surface of things, and that's how they work. Okay, they don't really absorb. Now, sometimes the binder in them can absorb. They're oil-based, so they can soak into the pulp of the paper and whatnot. But for the most part, the pigment's much more surface-oriented, especially in relation to, or in comparison to dye-based inks. All right. Okay, now I don't know if that's completely dry, but I think it's dry enough for my purposes here. Okay, we're going to try something here. And that's, I'm going to go with a hole punch here. All right, now this is going to serve as sun here. So let's grab another piece of paper here. I'm going to mask off like so. Okay. Undermask a little bit because, the paper's thin here, but you're still stamping over a little bit of a ledge. Okay, let's see, let's move this over here. All right, let's see. We'll go for roughly right here. So this is going to be a sun, kind of rising up from the horizon. Okay. And for my ink applicator, i.e. 100% cotton ball. Okay. And get it good and soaked, okay? But use light dabbing motions. Okay, some people say, I can't do it heavy and I'm so heavy-handed. Well, then just, I don't know, use 2 fingers or something like that. Imagine you're poking into, I don't know, what would be something real fragile. I don't know. I can't think of anything. I always say a child's face. I don't want to keep saying that every single time I do that. But all right, so we have a sun right there. Now that really stands out because it's the only white thing on the paper. And gold, well, it's very reflective. It's, it's kind of a medium value here, in terms of the grayscale aspect of it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this here, and we're going to add it down into our water like so, okay? I'm going to go back and forth a little bit, okay? This is going to give us a little bit of a shimmer, maybe, on the surface here. Maybe what I'll do is I'll mask off here a little bit too, okay? Easiest masking you'll ever do. Stampscapes in general, if you stamp like I do, you don't really have to do a lot of masking. A lot of dedicated masking, at least, in terms of the amount of effort that goes into it. Okay, coming right down here. I'll kind of spread it around a little bit. You see I'm kind of adding a little bit more on the right on the horizon next to the next to our light source. Okay, kind of looks like that, or it looks like that. And the Brilliance inks, what's good about that is it set up and it's already dry. Okay, from the heat setting. All right, now I kind of have a thin application, but we'll go with a little bit of a thicker application, thus a lighter application of the white. Right down the center here, where the sun is, I guess, influencing the surface reflections. You can kind of streak it out a little bit too. All right. Let's go for a more specific applicator. Okay, the cotton ball is good for large areas, but let's take a cotton swab and let's get into some of these real specific areas on our crest of the wave, the spindrift coming off the top. So I'm kind of adding it down like that, and then you just kind of spread it out like this, okay? Now, I don't want it so evenly spread from center to edge. I want it to kind of dissipate as it moves out from the center area. Okay, now remember this sun is influencing the center of it a little bit more than the sides, right? Because that's where its light source is, so as it moves out it dissipates. Okay. Whether it would do that in nature, maybe, maybe not. But on a scene, okay, on a piece of artwork where this is, a location unto itself in its own world, okay, that's the difference between like artwork and something, real or whatever, is that you're making these worlds locations unto themselves. We're referencing, and we can make things look realistic, but you really want to take much more liberties with, the freedoms you have when it comes to creating things, okay? You're not held to, different properties in nature, okay? You're making your own world, just much like a stage production of something or a set piece for a movie, okay? You want to bring emphasis to things, and you de-emphasize others, you bring in your ideal lighting. Instead of one source of light, you have multiple sources of light. And that's where, artistic freedom and expression especially comes into play. So sometimes when people think about nature doing scenic stamping, the initial notion at least, not, the people that have been, that do it, beyond day one, but sometimes someone's notion of kind of like an ideal scene is, something that, replicates, something that a camera can do so much more effectively, okay? We're not trying to go for photorealism, although you can if you want to, but it isn't, necessarily the ideal. Okay, so anyways, you can see my waves are getting influenced by the light. Now, where I've added it, it's just on the design itself. there's darker areas on the design, so you can just kind of follow suit and add light accordingly, okay? The darker areas of the wave, you can add darker tones if you want to, like, you know, graphite black. But in the light areas, you add white, okay? That's in this style where you were stamping on a, you know, a colored surface here. Now that being said, why don't I add some of this down into my shoreline here. There's probably some light hitting the sand and the rocks, right? So we'll add it right down in here. We'll just kind of blend that out like so. That nice shimmer with the wet sand and rocks. Okay, so right there. Right, now let's do some shading work with black. All right, now what I like to do, let's grab another cotton ball. What I like to do is we're working light from the center out, okay? I like to work my darks from the outside in, okay? So you taper it with light. More light in the center, darker as it moves away, so more ink in the center, less ink on the side. Darker from the outside in, more dark on the outside, and less as it moves in, okay? So the opposite. So I'm just going to add a little tone down, and I'll just sweep it onto the interior. Remember, with white, we're sweeping from the inside out. Black is going from the outside in, like this. Let's see if you can tell any difference here, or you know what's happening to the light when I add in the dark. Let's do it on one side. Let's do it here on the left side first. Let's see what kind of influence this this black ink can have on the piece. Okay. See that with the black here? Look at that, kind of, it has a moody haze to it, doesn't it? And see, when you make things a little bit darker on the edge, or just anywhere within a piece, the lighter areas seem one step lighter. All right, I like the look of this. It has a certain, I don't know, kind of an aged, I don't know, kind of patina to it. And that's the, you know, the iridescent kind of nature of this surface right here. Kind of that more sealed off surface really allows me to take this ink and to really move it around. But when I do want it dry, it will dry on its own, or you can heat set it. You know, the heat setting just took, I don't know, a minute or two, right? I mean, if that. So it can dry very quickly, and that's, again, that's Brilliance inks, okay? I don't know if the regular pigment inks will dry very well. You can play around and test yours, okay? Make an impression on there and let it set, or heat set it and see if it'll dry in you. There's so many different brands of inks out there, and some people tell me, oh yeah, they tried whatever on it and that worked fine, but I don't know, for me, when I tried, maybe the same combination, it didn't dry. Things are going to react differently to just different conditions, you know, in terms of weather. You know, someone told me that, you know, a VersaFine Clair dried just fine for them on Stardream, you know, or on foil, which is even more sealed off, like in Arizona, I wouldn't doubt them, because when I was out there, things were drying so fast at the convention when I was working on my demonstrations. Things that might take like a whole day to dry for me here, were drying within, I don't know, a couple hours out there. It was really something. So there's a whole different kind of set of rules, for, or I don't know, not rules, but conditions for things like drying time. When it comes to, different locations. Probably weather, in terms of how warm something is. If it's cooler, it probably, takes a little bit longer to dry as well. Okay, I'm just kind of masking off my horizon line right here. Sometimes I like to make my horizon a little bit stronger. Like that. Look at that shimmer to this. It has a really great look. There's kind of a moodiness to that, isn't there? But then it has this overall shimmer. Look at this, how dark this is right here. But in the light, look at that, how reflective that is right there. It's almost like I didn't add any ink at all, right? So it just comes to show you that this black it's quite a bit more translucent than we would think, even when, it appears that it's been really covered over with this ink right here. It really does shine through. It's just such a reflective type of surface. Okay, let's see. Let's add in some foreground here. I'm thinking about maybe some bird or something like that. I don't know. It could be some gulls flying around. But we definitely need some sort of foreground in here. I think this is a really good foundation, though. There's a certain mood to it, isn't there? Alright, dried that off. Let's go in. I'm using a lot of the imagery off of Nature Set number 12 in this piece. I have a sailboat here I wanted to use. Okay, I'll do this in black again. Light even pressure, but maybe hold it a little bit longer, because I am stamping it over other pigment ink as well as this paper. Okay. So in other words, you want that ink to really transfer over. Okay. Let's create a little beach grass here, maybe. The impressions of the black when I stamp over the white are different. It's not transferring as well, having that white down there. Let's see if I hold this a little bit longer. If it'll transfer. Don't squash it down now to try and get a darker impression, because what you'll do is you'll be squashing the blades of the grass and, you know, making them real kind of thick like that, okay? You want a nice even impression, okay? All right, let's take a look at that. See that right there? Added a nice foreground, I think. Let's take a look at those rocks down here too. Those rocks might be a little bit lighter than, you know, my preference. They'll become a little bit more pronounced when I spray seal this. I'll be spray sealing with an acrylic spray sealant. Okay, now I hope this shows up here. I have this quote stamp. It says "Dream." I put it over on this side, and I really wanted to have this in this scene here. But the question is will it stamp well, you know, in white over the top of this Stardream Gold, and as well as the black in there. Okay, my white here has a lot of lint on it from the cotton balls. Can't always see it, but yeah, I see it when I go for my impressions. Yeah. So what you did, you just kind of scrape it off. I should really have a separate pad for my impressions and the other one for my ink applications. Okay. I don't know, there's a little wad of like cotton lint there. Okay, let's try this again. I don't know if I got it all. Yeah, I got it pretty good. There's a little bit of lint down here on this M. Alright, my ink is a little bit kind of not evenly distributed on my pigment ink pad. Pigment ink pads are really thick ink, right? So it's not like a dye pad where you ink up over here and it, you know, spreads over here. You really have to get that, you know, reasonably evenly applied when you re-ink your pad. But I'm going to put this dream down here, kind of closer to the horizon line. It won't be on the line, but we'll try to kind of line it up roughly about as like a little graphic statement. Alright, so there's Dream. Look at that. That stamped on it pretty well, huh? It's a little bit translucent, you can see through. It's not bad. Okay, I'm already kind of thinking in my head about how I want to format this card. I'm thinking about maybe a little bit of white around the perimeter and maybe with a gold foil or something like that. Okay, white paint pen. There's a lot of translucency with everything. My black impressions are somewhat translucent. They're not real stark black, again, because when you're applying it on here, it's not, you don't have 100% transfer, you know, most of the time. Oh, okay, I forgot to do something here. Okay, you know how we went into our waves with some white on the, you know, the spindrift coming out the top? Well, in my designs, I have shadows underneath that cresting waves as well. So in the shadows, we'll enhance those areas with a little bit more shading like this, okay? So we just kind of spread it around. You don't want a big blob of it, so yeah, really kind of just, after you lay it down, just spread it around. It will give you time to you know, to spread it around like so. for a very, very faint application of it too, just by not inking it up so much, okay? And just by going with a nice light touch. Okay, so what you do is you put lights in the light area and darks in the dark, okay? There are shadows already rendered into my designs, okay? I've already put shadows, light, and shade in the design, so areas where it's light, you just add more light, and areas where it's shade, you add more shade, like that. And you just, I try to get as much volume and depth into my designs, but it always helps to kind of reiterate that lighting scheme with your tones and colors, whatever colors you happen to be using. Okay, and this one is really simple. I'm just using black and white. But if you have like doing an ocean scene and it's all blue, then maybe you come into your shadow areas with the dark blue. It doesn't necessarily have to be black and white. Light for blacks. White for lights and black for darks. Okay, you can just use darker hues. This application is really chewing up my swabs here for some reason. Maybe I'm not applying so much color normally with the swabs. Usually I'm using them just for the just the little detailing, not doing a lot of toning with them. Okay, so this sailboat right here, I'm going to put a little bit of shadow at the base of it. Alright, so hopefully that added to kind of the spirit of the lighting scheme, okay? What do you think? Alright, I think that looks pretty good. There's a little bit more kind of volume and movement piece, I think. Alright, we have our 0.7 millimeter paint pen. And what we're going to do is, it's light. Again, it's white, so we're working from the inside out, okay? So I'll kind of add a little bit in like so, some splashing waves. Okay, now this white is really standing out quite a bit, so if it really stands out, I might not use so much of it, because I don't want it to be too overpowering. Okay, so I'll add more in the center, and then you dissipate it. You spread out the dots as you move into the darkness. Okay, even down here on the sand, you can add a few little dots too. It says that it's wet and it's kind of glistening. You have these little dots of light, everywhere around you, right on your computer, your tablet, your phone. Look on the shiny areas of it reflecting light. That's specular light. That's light that's brighter than white. Okay. Alright, so there you have it. Look at the spectacular nature. It's almost like way too busy, huh? But when you look at it more kind of at arm's distance like this is what, the viewing distance would be. Typically, for a card or whatever, you don't hold it up to our faces like this, unless we're stampers and we want to see, what was being done right there. Okay. So let me take a look at some different mounting things that I can do. Here's a bit of a iridescent, kind of a Stardream-ish type of paper, and I think that would be good with a real thin border around it like that, and then, I don't know, some other color. Let me pause the video and let me pick out some, choices for this, and we'll get to formatting this into a... Alright, I just went ahead and formatted this off camera. I don't know, watching me cut paper isn't dynamic viewing, YouTube viewing, not that any of my videos at any point are, but I thought that this little thin border right here, that is the thing that really picks up the little sparkly elements of the, I don't know, the process, the medium, I don't know, technique, whatever. And then just this gold foil on the outside. I thought that made for a nice, elegant look to it. I was going to format this on another folding card, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this. I like the look of it. I mean, you can go with another color out here. You can pretty much choose any color, like a purple, red, blue, black, anything like that I think would look really nice. But I don't know. So right here we have an iridescent gold Stardream paired with the mirrored gold foil, okay, for something like that. When you see that foil next to this, almost looks like just like, I don't know, some kind of like brown paper or something like that, huh? But then when you hold it up to the light, it has that iridescence to it that's really fantastic with Stardream papers. But any type of really reflective surface like this also, it gives you the opportunity of having different personalities on the same scene. So you have a scene that looks like this, but then as you turn it, you get all that reflective light in there. And watch this area right here, just how dark that really gets, It's almost like it's changing, the time of day when you go like that to that. Or when you go like this, look at that right there, It's just a completely different look. And I really like that dynamic when it comes to like super reflective surfaces. Never really, I don't know, saw that until the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so, when I've really been investigating these types of surfaces like that. So, I don't know, a lot of personality in, a really relatively simple type of process right here. There's a lot of different changes in here when we're talking about basically 3 different things of media right here. We have white and black Stardream. Those pads have opened up a world of opportunities for me in terms of what you can do, just for the fact that they can dry on these types of papers like this or be heat set almost instantly. And then, of course, we have the white paint pen, which I use in just about everything. Okay, so anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching with me. A little bit of a different, I don't know, whatever, change of pace from the last scene. I consider this a quick scene right here, and just a quick technique overall. It's a really fun one to do. And, you can make use of your little hole punch like this. Alright, so thanks for watching. If you like this video, hope you like, comment, subscribe.